rich man's game. Not everybody is well suited for it. And same with traveling the world, which I'm prone to do. My travels have recently taken me as far as China. Tons of things I can say about China. I'll spare you the details, but I'll tell you what. Originally, I went over there trying to follow in Bruce Lee's footsteps. I figured I'd make an interesting comeback, and Bruce Lee had the formula that I needed. Bruce Lee is a very interesting story. I'm not going to go through the ins and outs, but he was, like me, slighted by Hollywood, some would say. The first Asian American actor on television. Dave Chappelle loves television. I love it so much that I was on television. Bruce Lee was the first Asian American actor, and then after he did The Green Hornet, they gave him an opportunity to pitch his own show, and he pitched Kung Fu. They liked the show, but they weren't sure they wanted a Chinese star. And they knew of a white actor that if you squinted just right, Chinese would not be. At that time, Hollywood was all about baby steps, and one of the most shameful moves that Hollywood was ever made, Bruce Lee was, they jacked him for his intellectual property. And here's the irony. If I got jacked for my intellectual property, I wouldn't rebound in China, because that's all they do. But apparently, Bruce Lee saw it differently. He went back to China. He started to do Hong Kong movies. And in the Hong Kong machine, people started watching, in America, Hong Kong films just to see Bruce Lee. It was very ironic. It was the first studio system that actually competed with America's film industry. And America called him back, and he came. And then when he did his movies, he beat up Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in one movie, and Chuck Norris in another. He beat up America's tallest black dude and the strongest white guy. And then mysteriously died. Now, so I went to China thinking maybe I'd do the same thing. Maybe there was a comeback that was not as obvious. And I went over there and I pitched a sitcom and was surprised that I was confronted with racism in reverse. Chinese rejected my sitcom simply because I was black. And the idea was good. It was called The Cosby Show. They rejected it immediately. But I was furious. And I told them right there face, I know what you Chinese people are doing. You don't want this show because I'm black. And they said, no, 5 kids, unbelievable, it's illegal here.
Yes, thank you.
So I stayed anyway. I ended up buying a house not too far outside of Shanghai. Pretty interesting investment. $450,000 American dollars. Yeah, I got an 18-room house. Right, that's not bad at all. It's made entirely out of Legos. All right, one more. I got all the parts at a communist toy store. It's called Toys Are All of Us. Figured right? All right. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, though. Being in China, sir, I've realized that America might have a very hard time competing with the Chinese in the future economically. There's a lot I can say about that, but I didn't know that China was rich in natural resources. That was a surprise for me. They said that they had some resources that would keep them wealthy for millenniums. Apparently we have the same resources in America, but not in the same abundance. The resource is called Chinese people. It's the largest group of tenacity ever assembled. As a matter of fact, I experienced that personally on one of my trips through time. I was actually here in San Francisco traveling time I was in San Francisco. The year was 1841. A lot of times before I travel time, I'll meet with the makeup artist in Hollywood and get myself made up as a white person. It helps when you travel in the past and makes it a lot more enjoyable. To go as a white person. And I was having a great time in old San Francisco, you know, it was all dusty. And then I happened upon a labor meeting between some moguls that were building a railroad out here and some Chinese workers. And boy, they were tough negotiators. So you want to build a railroad? Well, there's a few bits. Okay, but we think we do a very good job. Very good job. Maybe we'll give you a shot. What are you looking for compensation? I'm got real quiet. China people all like this. Everything they did was together. It's very uniform. It's before unions or anything. They still consult each other. How much do you pay black people? The white guy's black. Give us 1 second. We don't pay them anything. Chinese guys didn't even huddle. He said, we'll do it for half of that. I said, yeah, man. Right back to my time machine and came back. All right. It's been a wild summer. I was in New York earlier this summer. This is a crazy story. I don't know what I did with my life. So I was in New York. You don't like the cigarettes? Sorry, man. It's a jazz club, though. It was early in the summer. As a matter of fact, I was in New York, and I didn't know this, but it was Pride Week. I showed up to the hotel. I didn't know it was Pride Week. I found out the minute I got to the hotel, and was horrified when I found out. It's not because I'm homophobic, but I had a tank top on. It wasn't a good look. So here I am in Manhattan checking into this hotel. The bellman takes my stuff upstairs, and as the bellman was there, I was like, hey, you guys go ahead, I'm going to sit here and finish my cigarette. I was smoking, sitting in front of the hotel, and I look across the street and I see this guy. This guy was dressed, okay, if you can imagine this, he was dressed completely in what looked like spandex type of material, a unitard almost. But it was seamless. There was no obvious point of entry. And very strange material. And the guy was skinny, but somehow the outfit was still very tight on his skinny frame. And for some reason, he had a belt around his waist. And on the bottom was some kind of boot. You can picture this outfit. And I'm seeing him from a distance. You know, you might just be wondering. And I thought to myself, you know, I don't gamble. But if I did, I would probably bet everything that I've ever wanted and ever had. This man is a homosexual. Because in my mind, it's not gambling if you're sure. And I think this, and I kind of chuckle to myself, but I'm not laughing at his sexuality. It's just the outfit is a fucking crazy outfit. But as I think this, the guy from across the street looks directly at me. Jarred me. Oh! And then he starts walking straight towards me. I'm like, oh no! I was a bit of anxiety because I felt like, oh, here it goes. I'm going to have to have a 4-minute conversation about how I'm not gay, but I appreciate him paying attention to me. Really didn't want to talk about it. And Sure enough, he comes all the way across the street. Now he's like directly in front of me. And as a matter of fact, he was kind of violating my personal space. I need 3 feet. He was leaning in really close. And I leaned on my back foot like this because I'm a southpaw. And I didn't know how serious. And then he says in a very, he says softly but very authoritative and sternly, he says, I know who you are. Dave Chappelle. I didn't say anything, I was just listening. And then he says, I'm homosexual. I thought to myself, I know it. But I'm still just listening because I thought that was the entire statement. I thought that he was saying, I'm a homosexual, period. But there was more. It was, I'm a homosexual, ... And then he says, and this is when it gets real crazy. He says, I am a homosexual from the future. Totally explain the outfit. You know, I do travel time myself, and he says, and I need your help, David Chappelle. I said, my help? What you need me to do? He says, my father, he must be stopped. He's evil. I said, your father? Well, why me? Because you know him. Tracy Morgan. I said, what? I'm just busting Tracy. I know Tracy. I don't think he meant anything by that. I just thought it was a funny situation. Who, Tracy? What'd you say? Scare tactic? He wasn't trying to scare nobody. Tracy is just, he's just a wild dude. I honestly don't think he meant anything by it, man. I think he just, I don't think Tracy meant anything by that. There's a show called Scare Tactics? Oh, I thought you were talking about, I thought you were one of those like real sensitive captains. It's still using scare tactics. Come on, man. Like, no, I thought you was going Sorry about that, I've been busy. I've been watching much television, I've been traveling time and... It's hard for me to look at TV. Every time I look at TV, I'll be like, you owe me money. So Tracy got another show called Scare Tactics. What's that about? He scares people? Like like Ashton Kutcher scary? Like a black Ashton Kutcher? That does not sound like it would work at all. Normally they see us coming. I was scared the moment I saw you. It's like Bushman. I remember when I quit the show, I wanted to meet that one. I read about him in the San Francisco Chronicle. You know the Bushman is, don't you, miss? It's a guy, he hangs out on the wharf. One of the most original hustles I've ever heard of. If not the most original. You have to see it to believe it. What he does, he sticks with foliage on them. He hides on the wharf. And we might add a place that no plants would ever grow. It's the weirdest thing. Somehow, for some reason, nobody ever sees this guy. And he just waits. And when you least expect it, he'll, like you walk by and he'll just pop out of them sticks. Ah! Scare the shit out of people. It's the most authentic thing we'll ever see. Only in San Francisco is there a black man that can make a living scaring white people. It's fucking crazy.